Hello, welcome back to another episode of Vermont's 100 Covered Bridges. Today I'm at the Shelburne Covered Bridge, which is in Shelburne Museum. And I'll get the apologies in at the beginning, because I think throughout this episode I keep referring to it as the Shelburne Museum. It's the Shelburne Museum. I apologise. So having purposely said at the end of last week's episode, which is the Sequin Bridge, to come and see all these bridges because they're all free. Well, this one isn't, and that's because it's in the Shelburne Museum and you have to pay to get in. But I think this one is worth the admission fee. Let's go inside, have a look. Well, I'm in, and a double thing of my English accent and the fact that I'm filming got me in for free. It was $27.50, and they saw my cameras and they said, oh, it closes in an hour, so I just want to film the covered bridge. And one of the lovely ladies said, like, oh, isn't it, if it's like photography it's free? I said, oh, I'm doing a YouTube channel. And they just gave me this little wink and they gave me a free sticker and I got in. So it is free, but you've got to have an English accent and a couple of cameras with you. Otherwise it's $27.50. Right, let's go and find this bridge. So 5 weeks ago I was at the Pulp Mill covered bridge in Middlebury, and that was my first view of a double barrel bridge. And I said at the time that there was only 8 in existence, and the one in Middlebury, the Pulp Mill, was the only one that was actually in operation. There is another one in Vermont, and it's this one at the Shelburne Museum. As we can see, it's another Burr Arch bridge, which is 3 episodes on the bounce that have had a Burr Arch bridge. And there's no doubting that it's the original. So, what do we know about this bridge? Why is it in a museum, I hear you ask? The bridge was built in 1845 by Farewell Weatherby. Yes, that was his name. And it was built in the town of Cambridge, which is 55 miles away. And it crossed the Lamoille River. But as the years went by and roads got busier and vehicles got wider, the town of Cambridge decided to bypass the bridge. And I found a picture here of the bridge on its original site over the Lamoille River. Now you can see just to the left here, and I've highlighted it, the early construction work of the bridge that will bypass the covered bridge. Now they say that every picture tells a story, and this one only tells half of the story. I'm not going to tell you why in this episode, but we are going to come back to this picture in a future episode. The Shelburne Museum, even in 1950, which is when the bridge was bypassed, was becoming a well-known and renowned museum for taking old buildings. There's even an old ship I'll show you on the way up, and other items of historic interest. And they asked if the state would like to donate the bridge to the museum. Fortunately, the state agreed, and the bridge was transported 55 miles and re-erected on this spot. And when it arrived here, they made this magnificent structure the main feature and the first feature of the bridge by making it the entrance. So every vehicle had to enter this way and drive through the bridge. Again, over time, the bridge became in need of repairs because of the constant vehicles coming over it, and it was decided to make a new entrance, the one that I just came in through, and to close this one off for traffic. And then here becomes the next problem. Obviously, throughout the series you've seen covered bridges receiving national and state money to repair them, but because then this is now a private bridge, and in private hands there's no state funding, so any repairs that do need doing have to come from the museum themselves. As I say, when there's only 8 left in the whole country and 2 in Vermont, it's great that it's here. It's also good because I enjoyed being at the pulp mill bridge, but I couldn't stand in the middle of it because there was too much traffic. The interesting thing here is I mentioned the pulp mill bridge, that the roadway on both sides was very narrow. There just wasn't any room either side, whereas here there's a lot more room equally on both sides. One other little feature of the bridge, and maybe I'll go up this end and I'll show you. Now, like the pulp mill bridge did have a sidewalk attached to it, the Shelburne bridge also has a walkway. But A, this is covered, but B, it wasn't part of the original plans. It was added sometime afterwards, but it was built prior to the bridge being moved here. But yeah, you get a great shot of the Burr Arch on its way down. So what about the water? The museum purposely made this pond, known as Burr Pond, for the bridge to go over. It's not running water, it's still. I certainly can't go into it that way because there's a fence, and again, being aware of my surroundings, it's something I need to do carefully. But what an amazing structure, and the width of the 2 roads and then the walkway must be the widest bridge in Vermont, easily. There's a little, I wouldn't say it's a path, but here we are. I've been able to get underneath the bridge. This is really as far as I can get under. There's a concrete block at the back and a section sticking out where the Burr Arch goes into, or against. Actually, well, that's about as far as I'm going to go. But yeah, that's what the abutments look like from underneath. With the shadow of the walkway. A side shot of the bridge. I love the 2-tiered roof. And talking of the two-tier roof, in 1998 it was re-roofed with new cedar shingles. Now, whilst the bridge was in its original position, it was given a few names. It was called the Cambridge Village Bridge, the Cambridge Bridge, which is a bit of a tongue twister, and also the Big Bridge. So either way, Cambridge had a bridge. Let's take a look at the pond from this side, which we haven't done yet. It really is in beautiful grounds here and safe from traffic. Hopefully there'll be this museum for many years to come. What I found surprising is that the bridge is not listed in the National Register of Historic Places. Now, that tends not to happen when places are privately owned or they're not in their original place, which I get. However, when you consider that there are only two types of this style of bridge in the state of Vermont, you would think that some leeway would be given, and that clearly means that this is a historic place, and deservedly so. It's a marvellous structure. I mean, to think that if the museum hadn't said, yeah, we'll take it, if we can, we'll pay to have it removed, had the state not agreed to that, A, I wouldn't be stood here now, B, this would just have ended up on a bonfire or something, and C, to be 99 covered bridges in Vermont. There's a sign, very badly worn, at the edge of the bridge. The title is Rates of Toll, Gate Number 2. I've taken a picture of it and I'll try and work out what it says. And then there are some signs here on the other side which we can read. $1 fine for driving over this bridge faster than a walk. We mean it. Speed limit, horses at a walk, motor vehicles 10 miles per hour. And another sign about the speed limit and horses and motor vehicles on top. It's taken from the south side of the bridge. What a wonderful weeping willow. Again, I mean, thousands and thousands of vehicles pass the bridge every day. And just to wrap everything up, there was a nice sign outside the front of the bridge. 1845, Cambridge, Vermont, moved to the museum 1950. Measuring 168 feet in length with 2 vehicle lanes and a footpath, the covered bridge spanned the River Lamoille for more than 100 years. The bridge's system of parallel chord trusses and arches, which act in concert to support both the bridge and its load, permitted the construction of longer spans. The arch truss design was patented in 1804 by Theodore Burr, one of the 19th century's most successful bridge architects. Its roof protects against severe weather and adds stability, whilst the enclosed sides shielded crossing farm animals from distracting views. The covered bridge served as the museum's entrance until the late 1970s. There's the old steamboat I was telling you about, Ticonderoga, which was the town where the railway line went to in New York, that was from Leicester Junction, that we talked about at the East Shoreham Railroad Bridge. And there's some kind of lighthouse here next to it. Honestly, there's all amazing buildings, galleries. I mean, there's this building with its grand columns. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. I could have brought the Jeep around to the other exit that's obviously you can't get through, but there was enough room to park the Jeep there, and I thought, well, why not? I'll just stand here and do it as it is, because it's not about the Jeep, it's about the bridges. But yeah, this is an amazing bridge, it's an amazing place. You've got to come here. I mean, literally you'll spend the whole day here, so $27.50 is a good deal. There's so much to see here, all historic buildings, and this was the centerpiece, the grand entrance, but it's still here, and you've just got to do a little walk, or I think they've got buggers, they'll pick you up, golf carts. Anyway, I'm waffling. Thanks very much to Vermont's Covered Bridge Society again for their help and support, as they have done throughout the series. I'll see you next week in another episode of Vermont's 100 Covered Bridges. Bye.